Hello, sunshine. So, people ask me all the time how our guides and our angels communicate with us and our loved ones on the other side. And it varies from person to person. It varies in the ways that they try to get our attention. And I want to share a story with you that one of my clients shared with me because this might help you a little bit just to understand how this does work. So, he had gone to the store. He needed to go get an item for his home, right? And it was kind of a bigger item. And it was like at one of those, it was like at Lowe's, one of those home improvement stores. And he had gone to his car. He was trying to, get the item in the back of his car, and it was too big, and he needed to get help. And he put his phone on top of the vehicle, and was getting the stuff in and drove off and gets home or close to home and realizes he doesn't have his phone and can't remember where he put the phone, right? He's like, oh my gosh, what do I do, right? He actually had two phones. And um, so he was like, he went back to the store and he goes in and he is asking, if anybody turned in a phone, and they're like, no. And so he was able to have them look at the security footage and saw that the phones were put on top of the vehicle, right? And that he drove off and they were on the vehicle when he drove off. And he's, standing there and he's like talking to them, trying to figure out what to do. Well, at the same time that he's there talking to these people, so, this other person who found the phones in the middle of the street, okay, calls the number, which was in one of the numbers, and that this because the store was calling the number because they weren't sure like where it had gone, and the number was stored in the phone. And this person saw that number and called that number, which ended up being the store. And my client ended up being at the store at the same time, right? That the phone call that the person called in, which is kind of a miracle in and of itself that he was there and that the person found the phone number to call where he was. And they were like, oh yeah, you know what? We have him here because the guy was saying, you know what? I found this phone and I don't know who it belongs to, and he was saying, yeah, you know what? The person's here. Why don't you, we'll let you talk to him. And so the guy said, where are you? And my client told him where he was. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to come up there. And he's like, are you sure? And he said, yeah, no problem. I'm going to bring the phones to you. They're fine. So he gets there, which was so nice of him to do, right? And my client is like, how can I repay you? And the guy's like, don't worry about it. It's totally fine. And they get to talking. And do you know that it turns out that he's like, hey, my name is so and so. And the guy's name was the exact same name as him. They had the same name. Okay. So, what are the odds of that? That's like synchronicities, right? The universe talking to you saying, here, there's good people in the world. Here, you know what? We want to connect you with somebody who's good too, who's giving back, right? And doing something kind and nice. As they start talking more, they start to realize that they have a very similar hobby that is also so rare. They both like collecting coins and have for years, and they start talking about their love of coins. So that may seem a little bit random, but it's not with how the universe works. He had the same name as my client. They didn't know each other, right? The guy calls at the exact moment that my client's at the store, which it could have been later. Somebody could have ran over the phones, never, somebody could have took them and sold them, whatever. That is how the universe aligns. It says everything's going to be okay. We're watching over you, right? We've got your back. And we don't only just have your back and we're going to give your phones, we're going to return your phones safe and okay, but we're also going to bring forward somebody who has your same name so that you know that we're aligning things for you and we're watching over you. And we're also going to bring forward somebody who has the same love of something that you love too, of the love of coins, and talking about that and even more in detail. There was a lot more detail that both of them knew and they were on the same page with, like a hobby, right? How rare is that? So that's why I want to let you know those are the kind of messages that our guides and angels will bring forward for us when we really need to know that they're around and that they're trusting us. So when we think, why did things happen, or why is this happening to me, right? Especially in that moment when you're freaking out and you're like, oh my gosh, I know I've been there. What am I going to do about this? And you have this like panic energy. You need to remind yourself everything's going to be okay in those moments. That even if you don't understand what's going on or why it's happening, it's going to be okay. And believe me, that's hard for me too. I have to do the same thing and breathe and calm myself down and relax. So, this is a message for somebody and for a lot of you to remind yourself in those moments that everything's going to be okay and that your angels do have your back. And he was asking, he was like, please, 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 I need your help. And they heard and they answered that prayer, which is something I talked about in the energy forecast video, prayers being answered. So if you are asking for a prayer to be answered, this is your sign that it will be. This is your sign also to be looking for the way that they are communicating with you. And please share any stories with me that you have had, or experiences that you have had where you knew that it was your angels and that they were watching over you, and the synchronicities that occurred because of it. All right, I hope that you enjoyed this story. Please let me know, and I'm sending so much love your way. Mwah.